The billion-dollar franchise left to right. What the fuck is bro name?
Creating a brand new superhero franchise which grosses over billions of dollars.
Hey, I already seen the thumbnail. Y'all used to watch Ben 10 for?
Imagine creating a brand new superhero franchise which grosses over billions of dollars only to leave it to rot. That's exactly what Cartoon Network did with Ben 10. The scene is 2002. The executives at Cartoon Network are on the hunt for the next big action cartoon, and they bring in the help of Man of Action, telling them
they wanted Fantastic Four for young boys.
Man of Action is a group of comic book artists made up of Joe Casey, Joe Kelly, Duncan Rouleau and Steven Seagal, who worked on big titles such as X-Men and Superman. When called in by Cartoon Network, they pitched 20 different ideas in 20 minutes, telling them you'll know what you're looking for when you hear it. With the deal signed, work began on creating what was then originally known as Force 10. Force 10 still started out with Ben Tennyson, although he looked a little bit different. So did the Omnitrix too, resembling more of an earthly watch.
Yo, chat, the lore behind this.
So,
chat, did y'all have one of these? If you ain't had one of these, I don't know what to tell you, my God. But if you had one of them Ben 10 watches, you had one of them motherfucker, you had Cyclops, you had one of them niggas, and you put them on there, you felt like you was really turning into that nigga. Like, I'm a fucking dinosaur, nigga. Like, I used to feel like I was turning into them niggas. Bro, that watch, that shit real, nigga.
So did the Omnitrix too, resembling more of an earthly watch. The aliens also looked a little different. Actually, because they weren't even aliens, they were just superheroes originally. Digger later became Wildmutt, Dragonfly, obviously Stinkfly. Ghost Freak was still called Ghost Freak, but looked a bit more freaky. Grey Matter was also still called Grey Matter, although he looks more like a demon. Inferno became Heat Blast, which looks very similar to a mix between The Thing and Human Torch.
But
which is
ain't gonna lie, this
because
is the best version of it. The Heat Blast, that's the best version of Inferno. Heat Blast. This nigga got so much lore in the fucking
Blast, which looks very similar to a mix between The Thing and Human Torch, which is funny because
They wanted Fantastic Four for young boys.
Plant Guy became Wildvine, Razor Jaws, Rip Jaws, Strong Guy, Forearms. Upgrade still Upgrade, just a lot different. I can't imagine this Upgrade morphing onto anything. And finally Accelerate. Eventually, after realising this concept was already too similar to a DC comic called Dial H for Hero, they eventually went with the familiar idea to use aliens in the Omnitrix as opposed to just mutants or superheroes. After 2 to 3 years of development, Ben 10 premiered on Cartoon Network on the 27th of December 2005 to incredible critical acclaim. It was a fresh, brand new idea about a 10-year-old who found a watch from outer space that could transform him into 10 different aliens, and it hit like a meteor. Cartoon Network had found lightning in a bottle, and they knew it. Within a year, the Ben 10 brand was selling out in toy stores. Alien figures, Omnitrixes, you name it.
Man, bro. Bro, I'm telling you, gang, if you had this bitch, you know you know. If you know, you know. And you could buy all the, like, that little figures. I was begging for them bitches, chat.
And it sold well. The classic series ran for 3 years, and with its incredible world building, lore, action and so on, it was inevitable that a sequel was in order. It's 2008. Ben 10 Alien Force premieres with the now 15-year-old Ben Tennyson growing up alongside the fans of the classic and tackling more mature themes in the classic series. By this stage, Man of Action had stepped back slightly to work on Generator Rex, another Cartoon Network show, and instead Ben 10 Alien Force was helmed by Glenn Murakami and the late Dwayne McDuffie. This time around, Ben had a recalibrated Omnitrix and 10 brand new aliens, which fit the more mature style of the sequel. It debuted receiving mixed to positive reviews with a clear divide amongst the community. Some people loved the more serious tone, while others missed the classic for its lightheartedness and jokes. Season 1 and 2 had a clearly defined overarching story, character progression and tone, and the end of Season 2 often marks a pivotal shift in the franchise for a lot of the community. See, at the end of the day, Cartoon Network is a business. They work for the money, and with Ben 10 Alien Force, it just wasn't selling enough toys for their liking. Ben 10 was always a massive merchandise franchise. The majority of the money for classic series came from the toy sales, and while the grown-up, more mature sequel was great for those growing up alongside the show, it just didn't appeal to the younger kids, the main demographic who actually buy the toys. So Cartoon Network put the foot down and started taking a more hands-on approach with the writing of the show to try to encourage more toy sales. Season 2 ends on a big battle which has been building since the first episode, and now Season 3 rolls around. Immediately the tone shift can be detected even from just these 2 clips.
Listen guys, I'm sorry I took Morningstar's side over yours. And more important, that I wasn't watching your back.
It wasn't your fault.
Is
I
bro
guess
gonna
Morningstar
explain
has
how
some kind
why
of
it happened
control
though?
over me.
It was my fault.
Ah, yeah, okay.
I was in such a hurry to build our team, I ignored the danger. If I'm going to be a good leader, I'm going to need to show better judgment.
I'm not kidding, Ben. I'm really mad at you.
But you won't stay mad at me. I'm adorable.
You're completely full of yourself.
Which is forgivable because I'm so adorable.
You were late for a mission. Kevin and I could have been killed.
You've been obnoxious ever since you...
Saved the whole entire universe?
See? You're doing it again.
Ben was made to be a lot more immature and cocky. New aliens were pumped out to have more toys to sell. The building storyline and stakes now seem to be all over the place, and this threw a lot of people. Unfortunately though, it worked in Cartoon Network's favour, and toy sales did increase after Season 3 premiered, although this was short-lived. The network knew they needed to do more to keep toy sales high, and that brings us to... premiering in April 2010 in America, or the 10th of October 2010 for the rest of the world.
Okay. Chat. For most of us, this is where the Ben 10 started for us. We wasn't watching in 2002. We wasn't born in 2002, my nigga. We was watching Ben 10 Ultimate, my nigga. This is the one right here. You feel me?
Third iteration of Ben 10, the sequel to Alien Force, where Ben looks exactly the same, has basically the
This
same
is that
aliens,
bitch
the
right
same-
here. This
What?
that
Wait, why did
one,
they do this?
chat.
Oh yeah, new gimmick. Ben now has the Ultimatrix, a knockoff of the Omnitrix, which
The
has the ability to turn his
Omnitrix,
alien
bruh.
transformations into their ultimate form.
He just
It's actually a pretty
snapped.
cool concept. Basically, what would happen if we took this alien, locked them in a battleground for a million years, and then see what war-torn, traumatized, shell-shocked nightmare they emerge as. Weirdly enough though, from the 46 aliens Ben has unlocked by this point, only 8 transformations ever actually received an ultimate form, which seems strange considering their main goal was toy sales. You know, you think more ultimates mean more toys to sell, but, you know, who am I to critique the decisions of Cartoon Network on their biggest franchise? Ultimate Alien was also a mixed bag for its reception. The new Ultimate gimmick, along with Ben's identity being leaked, led to a lot of new avenues for storytelling. Ultimate Alien culminated in this huge battle which spanned many episodes for...
You stabbed me!
Then Ben gets a new Omnitrix and the... Ben 10 Omniverse premieres on the 1st of August 2012, once
This
again
was a
with a brand
W2.
new art style and a handful of new heroes.
Omniverse was a
Omniverse took a
W2.
weird angle in that they continued on from 16-year-old Ben and Ultimate Alien, but also sometimes did episodes with 11-year-old Ben, supposedly after the summer of
Yeah.
the classic series, even though this contradicts Alien Force, where Ben says,
And we barely used to beat him in the old days.
We were like 10 years old.
but hey, retcons are a big part of this franchise, and I'm not about to get into that.
Even First Thinker Asma's voice and appearance has changed on at least 3 occasions.
Although, let me know down below if you'd like to see a separate video on that. Omniverse lasted for 8 series, and it actually had the most episodes out of all the shows so far, but ultimately was cancelled due to low ratings. There's a lot of speculation as to why exactly Omniverse was cancelled, as the Season 8 finale teased a space road trip, which unfortunately never came to light.
So
Another
bro
cancelled
saying
idea
because
was the return of the negative.
he didn't have that many ups for characters and like action figures that they sold type shit. That's not really like, cause they still gotta have a story off the shit though. They can't just squeeze out characters. They gotta make the story with the shit.
10, a sort of rogues gallery for Ben, which debuted in a 2-part finale of the classic series. A Reddit user by the name of Crystal Productions suggests that because of low toy sales, the show was axed and aired off in the early mornings to keep ratings down so that it could be a tax write-off. DC Network also chalks the low ratings up to the awkward episode errands and suggests Cartoon Network's direction was to move away from action shows.
The reason why it did poorly, quote-unquote, ratings-wise is because Cartoon Network mishandled the way they aired the episodes, and that was Christina Miller's Cartoon Network, and I truly believe this when I say this. I genuinely do think that the reason why Ben 10 Omniverse ended was because Christina Miller just wanted to get action off the channel.
And that marks the end of Ben 10 Prime as we know it. Until 2016, when
Nah, you can't say that, cause then they start coming out with like regular show, Adventure Time, Clarence, all that type of shit, and that's nothing but action. So like, you can't say that she was trying to get action like TV shows off of Cartoon Network. You can't say that. But like Ben 10, it was like the third boot of that bitch though. So like, they definitely got their money's worth. She like, it's time for some new motherfuckers.
Cartoon Network had to wake up their cash cow and milk it for the last few drops it had, giving us
See,
this
exactly why that should be happening, chat. When I say something, like they say it right after I say it.
I'm not going to get into the reboot too much because I personally haven't seen it, but also because it's another massive divide in the community. Some people hate it, some people tolerate it. but it's obviously meant to appeal to the much younger generation.
Fuck is this,
the
2-year-old
toy
Ben?
buy-in generation. It had a good run, actually the longest of all the shows, with over
Where is this
160
aired at?
episodes.
What show is this?
Although these were cut down to 11-minute episodes instead of the usual 22. Despite receiving generally negative reviews from critics, in the US the series has been viewed by 41 million viewers across multiple platforms, so the reboot succeeded in what it was made for, to capture a new generation into the world of Ben 10 and to sell them toys. The Ben 10 reboot concluded its run in April 2021, meaning at the date of this recording it has been over 4 years
It's like a
since any
Sprouse.
new Ben 10 media has been released.
This should
For a
be aired
franchise
on
which has captured
PBS
the hearts
Kids.
of millions and grossed over $7.85 billion to just be left on the shelf is insane. But when you look at the state of Cartoon Network today, it becomes even more baffling. Constant reruns of regular show, Adventure Time, The Amazing World of Gumball, the exact same shows I used to watch almost 15 years ago now. Cartoon Network really is a shell of its former self. I suppose when you look at the entertainment industry at large nowadays, that's not really anything out of the ordinary. Movies are just reboots or rewrites of previously loved classics. Video games are just enhanced editions or remasters.
Yeah.
Companies are afraid to take risks creatively now, and would much rather bank on the success of previous titles, which leads everything to just become a little stale.
Yeah.
Friday the
fact.
26th of July 2024, out of the blue,
He's spitting,
an
chat,
article
he's
was
spitting.
posted by comicbookclub.com announcing that Dynamite Entertainment has expanded its license with Warner Bros, signing up
Snaps
Ben
and claps
10
on
for a
front of
brand
break.
new comic book series. Since Dynamite Entertainment is responsible for series like The Boys and Vampirella, it opens the doors for a more mature Ben 10 story,
Hey, I watched
as
this,
Curly
chat.
the Artist puts it best.
A Ben 10 story free from the shackles of broadcasting standards can push these stories further and give us stories we may not be able to see on Cartoon Network. I'm not saying just go straight to the blood and gore, but when you write towards a more mature audience, you can have stronger and deeper characters and storylines.
But since that article almost a year ago, still no new information has been released. We still have no idea if this is a retelling, a continuation, or just something else entirely. Although if this comic book series sells well, who knows, it may open the door to a Ben 10 animated series like we've never seen before. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed